Partnerships between startups, established brands, artisans, and technology can spark breakthroughs that push boundaries and open up new markets. So our discussion today will explore how creative startups can identify these opportunities, build meaningful partnerships, and navigate challenges along the way. And to do that, we have a very special panel present here. So let me introduce each one of our panelists. Our first panelist blends traditional Sri Lankan heritage with modern design, making her a prominent figure in ethical fashion. Her designer-wear brand, launched at Colombo Fashion Week in 2009, has since participated in London Fashion Week and other international shows, retailing both in Sri Lanka and in Europe. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Charini Suryagay to share her insights with us today. Our next speaker is the co-founder of the Design Collective and Ceylon Born. With extensive experience across India, the UK, and Sri Lanka, she has led initiatives to create real opportunities for emerging designers. And through that, she strengthens the fashion ecosystems through collaboration. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Binu Wickramasinghe to share her perspectives on empowering young designers. Our third panelist is the founder of her namesake, Slow Fashion brand, working with artisans and sustainable resources to create emotionally durable products. She is also active in preserving Sri Lanka's textile heritage. Please welcome Ms. Kalatri Gurugay to share her valuable insights in this forum. And last but not least, our fourth panelist is a serial entrepreneur and an innovation leader, co-founding ventures such as 3H Innovation, Thuru, and Venture Frontier Lanka. He has played a key role in supporting startups, sustainability, and tech-driven creative solutions. And with that, I'd like to welcome Mr. Heminda Jayavira to share his perspective on this topic that we'll be discussing today. Guiding our session today is Dr. Prabodh Munasinghe, Senior Lecturer at the University of Moratuwa, whose work focuses mostly on sustainability, circular economy, and sustainable fashion. He is an award-winning researcher, consultant, and community leader committed to advancing eco-conscious design practices. So I'd like to now hand over the discussion to Dr. Prabodh, who will guide us through a very insightful session, I believe, with our esteemed panel of resource persons. Over to you, sir.
I would like to warmly welcome again all of you on behalf of Moratuwa University for this forum, because this is a bit important for us, to the crowd as well as this specific event as well. Graduation Fashion Week is not all about talking about graduate collections and how our final year students work. It's all about that how we are building new pathways for these young lads. So in that sense, here also you can see in these premises we have Mora Market, which is about how our second year students are understanding and getting inspiration to start their own startups. On the other side, you can see that our newly graduated alumni, how they performing in startups in the Biz Hub, the entrepreneurs we built up through our channel. So for all of you, I think this should be a good inspirational discussion to get ideas, because we have a mixture. We have internationally recognized designers here in this panel, and then again we have Binu, kind of a person who is connected and working with different fashion entrepreneurs, and Kalatri, a different story which came through our system, and Heminda, who is having massive experience with different entities. Not only about the fashion, I think the governance, politics, everything that he can support us on, that how we can build our things with his experience. Without talking much, I would like to move into Ms. Charini, who started locally and went to the international level and make a mark, not as a brand, but also as a country. So when we see the name or the label Charini, it's about Sri Lanka. So it's not easy actually to start in the local context. Specifically, you heard it's 2009. It's actually just after the war, and I can remember I was just completed my A levels and joined with the university. Bit messy time period. So where she started locally, and now she's in a fabulous position in the international level as well. So my first question, Shalini, that how did you manage all these constraints, whether it is financial, whether it is material related matters, or any other rules or such kind of matters? How did you overcome all these constraints?
First of all, thanks for. I would like to thank everybody for having me here, and the introduction shows my age, so thank you for that. So I would say, like, when I started up, it was actually the first thing I want to say is that when you do a business, whether you decide to become a fashion designer or anything else, there are so many constraints and they are not going to go away. So they are there from the day that you start till you go on. Like, it's there until you decide to do your business. Constraints are there. So but let's focus on the constraints that, you know, a designer would have at the start of their journey, because I think that's more relevant to you guys. So if you look at the start, like say when I started, I would say the biggest constraint for most of the designers, and so was for me, was the financial constraint. Because if you're serious about what you're doing and want to do it in a long-term manner, you have to have a game plan, and you have to have a way to fund the brand. So that would, I would say, realistically a big constraint that you need to overcome. But there are lots of ways where you can maneuver around it. I will get into that as well. So then when you look at a country like Sri Lanka, so the constraints can be not only financial, it can be, you know, it can be how, like say when I started, how my parents thought about design. So that was like a bit of a cultural constraint in that area, because that was not an area that was not really explored by many. And even to date, I'm sure to a certain extent, that's a constraint that you guys will also face as designers who want to start your own brand, especially. And when it's when there are so many other constraints, like say, you know, it can be the material limitations, it can be the resources that we have in the country, because actually nowadays it's even hard to find us so in person. It's like those are all constraints. So if you, I would say, then moving on in my career later, we saw, like, you know, how the bomb blast affected the economy and how COVID played in a big way in our economy, and also then the Aragalaya, which again was a period that as a brand we had to face a lot of constraints in terms of material availability or having access to certain funds or resources. It's always challenging. So I would say the biggest, so all those constraints I feel are kind of, you know, you can get over it if you, I know this sounds cliche, but it depends on how much you want to keep on going with your dream of doing a brand, because constraints are going to be there. Like every step when you grow, and even if you don't grow, the constraints are there. So luckily for all of you guys, I think the design field is a bit more established now. And more than anything, even the market is ready for designers. Because when we started, most of the customers were not ready for designer wear products, because they had more pride in buying something that was from overseas and thought it was the greatest thing rather than paying for Sri Lankan design. So those constraints, I feel, are slowly going away, which means you all have more opportunity because the market is a bit more ready. And also, like say, when we started, it was a bit hard to get, like say, let's say if it's funding from a bank or anything, that this industry, when you're an entrepreneur, is not it's not perceived like as a greatly lucrative market. But Now I think those financial establishments are also ready, and there are so many other parties like the development boards, to so many angel investors who are there. If you have their vision right, so I feel biggest constraint I feel is actually yourself and not anything else that I just mentioned. So if you don't consider yourself a constraint, and you have your plan set where you work towards your goal, I think that sorts out most of the problem. That's basically what I do every single day, working on the constraint.
What was the turning point of you to change from that local settings to the international level and getting more recognition and established?
I was fortunately, actually I have to say, I was based out of the country at that point, so I had a bit of a benefit there. But I applied when I was still based in Sri Lanka, so I took about a year to get the approval for London Fashion Week to showcase my designs, because it's a very tight, rigorous process. So I applied while I was here, but then I do feel there was a little bit of a benefit in being in the UK at that point. But I feel the turning point for me was understanding that Sri Lanka has actually a lot to offer overseas. Because when I applied, I was here, and throughout the whole application process, I worked with Sri Lanka once. I went to the UK as well, and I believed in this Sri Lankan story, and I still do, that we have great things to offer. So that kind of kept me going, and I think people in outside countries, especially the West, sometimes they don't even know where Sri Lanka is. So I kept on thinking, I need to sell this Sri Lankan dream. I still do that on a daily basis. So that was the turning point for me, where I was with Mars Holdings for a very long time period. And then I decided to do my own brand. So that was also a turning point where I had to let go of my comfort zone and not having a salary at the end of the month and thinking I will still manage it somehow. That was a massive call. It was a big turning point, because I had to sink or swim at that point where I decided to not have a job and do my brand. That was also a turning point, I would say.
It's a good point that you stopped actually moving out from CMT to the designer level. That is what we are talking about these days with the US tariff and lots of things. We looking for what should be our next move. I think that you gave a good example that doing traditional made trimming thing is not enough for a country like us. We are very small. We have lots of treasures. We have to utilize them in more better manner than just utilizing our electricity and all these resources to less money, less dollars. So I'm moving to the next speaker, Ms. Beenu Vikramasinghe. Sorry. She is having a different story actually. Charini, we know that she is having her own brand. Beenu is supporting to create own brands, different brands. So specifically here we have our second year students who are having certain imagination with your Mora market, small startups, but very interesting. Interesting products we have seen in your exhibition area. So we know that what is your message actually to these young kids that if they want to start their own startup, with your experience, what is your message to them that how they should start and how they should go forward?
Okay, so I'll just kind of give you a little bit of an introduction about Design Collective, right? So the collective that I have with my business partner Shahidi, so what we do is we kind of take in new budding designers. So we have a mix of established designers as well as budding designers who we basically provide a platform for designers to come showcase their products. So what I've realized since we started 8 years ago, when we started 8 years ago, we were also very new. Like Charity, I took a decision to quit my job and to start this. But I wasn't as lucky, I would say. I go back into full-time working at one point because, of course, you have a passion for a certain thing, but at the same time, you also want to, create a platform for budding designers and all that stuff. And I went back into full-time working for Daraz in fashion, right? But what I got out of Daraz, as well as the other consulting work that I did, is basically more information how to help new brands to come up, right? Or, where are the finances going to come? Finances, of course, is a very important topic, but you have a vision. Let's say you have your finances sorted out as well, but then what is your stage one? What is your first 6 months plan? What is your 1 year plan? What is your second year plan, third year? Then, like what Charini was saying, it's about like working towards certain type of goals and working towards those constraints that come forward, but kind of taking those constraints and making that your strength to work even further, right? So what we do at Design Collective for these new budding designers is to give them that advice in terms of how to manage their finances, what they should do first, what kind of things they should spend on, what they shouldn't, what kind of marketing, how should one designer kind of portray themselves to make this kind of make this brand work for you. Even when you're like joining in as a designer, there are a few things. Like my first meeting with a designer, I say that they need to think about, one, not the collection or the samples that you're going to do. You need to first think about your sketch form and think about 2 collections that you're going to do for, what's your first collection and what's your second collection. Then from that point, I say, okay, now you have an idea in a sketch form. Now put your price points to it. What is the cost of each of these things? It's not only about how much it's going to be in terms of, let's say utilities or anything like that, but it's also about kind of putting together pretty much every cost that you can think of, your transport to everything like that, and then kind of building from there what your cost is going to be. Then you think about retailer margins and all that and build from there. So there's a lot of things that you need to think before you embark on your journey as a design brand. So there's a lot that you need to kind of put together even in terms of marketing. Because when you're starting a brand, some people, they just kind of start something and they're like, okay, the marketing comes next. No, the marketing has to come side by side. You have to kind of figure out what your collection is going to be like, but what is the theme? What is that concept? What is the marketing? Everything, all these things, we take it as silos, but actually they're not silos. They have to come as a collaborative effort. So for new brands to come up, I think these are things that you need to be thinking about at any given time.
Do you have any success stories as an example to give some inspiration to them?
So in terms of success stories at Design Collective, I would basically like to talk about, so one brand so there's a brand called Divya 93 who has started with us. Actually, they came out of Colombo Fashion Week, and Colombo Fashion Week kind of, so we basically take on all the budding designers from Colombo Fashion Week to the Design Collective, and we provide the platform for them to grow within. So my job generally is to make you I basically help to go from ramp to retail. So Divya was one of those brands that I brought in, and right now she has her own customer base, her own marketing, and she's kind of moving towards exploring the other segments as well. So I would say that she is one of the best examples. We also have a few other brands like Navya, which is a clutch brand that started as a very small brand, but they kind of joined us in the first year itself when we started Design Collective. And then they've stayed on. In addition to let's say, these brands, so told you about this. Then there's also other jewelry brands also who have joined us in the same manner, who have grown with us. So my a very close friend of mine actually, who's into gem cutting. So her actual business, her family and everyone's into gem cutting, and they basically export to the US. But there was a gap in the market, and we encouraged her to start her own brand. And now she has a jewelry brand which is called Avika. So what she did was she brought her family's experience and is now creating modern jewelry. It's not the traditional kind of jewelry. She's working on silver and completely changing that. So I would say these are my 3 main success stories. But of course, there's a lot of other brands also who have come across. I'm not sure if you all have heard of this brand because this is quite new. And again, another story that comes from Colombo Fashion Week. It's a brand called Hala. So Hala, I would say, is one of our main stories here because he has actually now taken part in our pop-up, which we do. So Design Collective also does a pop-up in London every year. So he's taken part in that pop-up for the last 2 years and also taken part in our Abu Dhabi events as well. So I would say that's a little bit more international in comparison to staying here as well. But I would say these are my main ones.
Yes, nice. 2 words I have picked from your talk, the ramp to retail. 2 hours. We are talking about 3 hours, 5 hours in sustainability and other economic things. It's a good thing that even that our students, our graduates, tomorrow in our graduation fashion show, you do your ramp in with your collections. Even we are going to introduce a new online portal tomorrow to sell online their collections. That would be a good start. But here this is a bit different thing that you can start something like that, but sustaining it is not easy. So we have that kind of a example, ramp to retailing example, Miss Kalatri Guruge, who ramped her collection few years back and now into retailing business with designer level work. So as you all are always complaining the finance, as Charini also said, it's not easy in this context for fresh graduate who are coming from this free education system to start their own businesses. So, but I know Kalatri is that kind of a good example for us. How did you overcome that tight budget problem?
Okay, as I'm more related to the context, I think. So, like, I was there in this side, that side like them, sitting and listening to people. And yeah, so I would share more personal story because I think it would be more related to you to start up. So I would say my brand is a slow fashion startup and not exactly from the ramp to retail. I was thinking about retailing separately after graduation, and but I can't say an exact period when I was really starting to develop the brand, because it was from a long ago. But to start this as a business, I started in 2017 with my husband, this brand. So actually, at the starting point, of course, we started with a limited capital. But when it comes to a starting capital of a business, it's not just the money we invest on the business. So there are so much other capitals that comes into a business, like the people you know, social capital, knowledge capital, the time you invest on the business. So it's not just the amount of money that you have to invest. So even though the starting financial capital was so small, I would say the other capitals that both my husband and me has gained was not that small. So for me, it was majorly the learning. From the day one in university, especially in university, my learning and experience I gained. For example, I would say that when we have to select internship placement at university, my only concern was any factory, big or small, any place where they do woven materials. So because I was obsessed with materials, fabrics, woven fabrics and textures. So to the date, my inspiration comes from fabric. So what I was gaining as a student was a capital when I start the business. The other point I have to say is that it doesn't cost to think, as Binu said and Sharini mentioned. It doesn't cost you to think. To start small, that you can think big to start small. I think any simple delivery has a very complex thought process behind. So I was starting mapping out everything, mind mapping, and I took time to think of the concept I'm doing, that what slow fashion means to me and what I can deliver with slow fashion, and how far we can go with this concept forward. So it took time, and I have to mention that initial starting of the mapping was guided by Mr. Hembinder's workshop at university. So it was learning all the way, and again, not even at the starting points, I continuously get feedback from Binu at Design Collective, because Binu is the interface, the Design Collective, the store is the interface to the customer. So keep learning from their feedbacks. And what my husband brought to the table was his social capital. Coming from a science plus art background from University of Peradeniya, where they have multidisciplinary practices. So he has friends who would, from tech experts to friends who would pay our electricity bills. So, so with that social capital, it was easy to start the business. And with all these forms of investments, actually, that we could convince our parents to give us the money that they have saved for a wedding, right? So that's how I started my business, from that saving. So I'm really happy about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's inspirational example actually, that how you can start your own business by giving up certain things. When you talk about your experience and your brand, how it was started, one of the tools I summarize was family.
Yeah.
To start a business, you need family as a tool. So what are the other tools and the platforms that you have used to develop your brand other than family?
Yeah, if we think about more, I think redefining and adapting things. Think again of what you have available. Like for the family, actually, that we have identified people who have extra time and train them to do our work. I think that identification was important. I use it as a tool because actually my husband's family is sewing for us now. So, and my mother-in-law and sister-in-law. And when it comes to the other tools, that I'm using digital pattern making fully, and with free and open source software. And we have adopted sticker cutting machine to plot the patterns. And we have developed our own ERP system because this model is a new one, slow fashion, and we are working with home-based seamstresses, and it is a decentralized process, but to manage everything, and we are working with several retailers. To manage everything, we had developed our own ERP system. So likewise, those are the things going forward. Yeah.
Okay, family to technology. Lots of tools that you can use to develop your own ideas as well. Now we got lots of inspirational ideas from one of the benchmarking brand, then the interface as Kalatri said, and a person came from your system. Now I'm moving to the next most important part. We need some sort of expertise knowledge and the support to cultivate our branding. So as Kalatri said, Hemendra was one of our ex-employees of Morato University who supported our graduates a lot 5 years back, I guess. 5 to 6 years, right? 7 years back. Kalatri kind of young graduates benefited a lot from Hemendra. Not as an employee, actually. I know Hemendra is one of the social entrepreneurs who supporting you kind of people. So I would like to get your insights for these people. So what are the best platforms and channels to start up?
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. So I think, so this is, I think, before coming to the question, let me elaborate the whole idea of starting something on your own, which is the entrepreneurial journey. So entrepreneurship is not for everyone. That's what you have to understand. So entrepreneurship is not for everyone. Sri Lanka is one of the lowest in terms of population to entrepreneur ratio, one of the lowest. And then even globally, it's a very small percentage who become entrepreneurs or even innovators. But then having said that, maybe this cohort that we see here could be like a exceptional lot. So you can have a higher percentage of entrepreneurs coming out of this. So now going back to your question, so what is the platform? I think the globally, what you have to understand is there is the entrepreneur who, or the innovator who goes through that entire journey as they mentioned. Then you have to have this ecosystem. So the ecosystem is the market. How to connect to the market. These are all coming through connectors. So we are creating all that. So it's, I can't tell you exactly what your idea should support, but then we are very slowly and surely we are building that ecosystem which is missing. You just need to know whom to connect. The University of Morato has a lot of contacts. I think University of Morato has all these contacts. Don't take just one person or just one department, not just one faculty. I'm talking about the entire University of Morato, right? That is like a huge organization. So you have to tap onto the right people. So that is, it's all about connecting with the people.
Okay, when they want to connect with the people, the entities around them is also playing a crucial role, like universities, governments, and the other entities. We heard certain stuff from the government side that what we are going to initiate. So since we have some academics as well as industry people here, sometimes our academics are part of policy making platforms of the governments and certain departments. So what is your message to them, that what is the role of the university and the government and the private sector on developing young fashion entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so the university, I'll come to university, which is academia. So the primary responsibility of an academia is not to produce graduates, right? So it's a wrong concept. This came up in, I think, in the industrial revolution area in the 19th century. Education was taken as a factory concept. You have a bell, interval, everybody is produced as batches, which is not education, right? But then that we have brought in that concept into education. But the real responsibility of a university is to discover new knowledge. That's number one. Number two, discover new knowledge. Number three, discover new knowledge, nothing else. So that's the real responsibility of a university. But there you get education, institutes, academies, right? Those have different responsibility. By university, since Morato is a university, the primary responsibility is discover new knowledge. And that connect to creating innovations, creating new entrepreneurial ventures, all that is there, because discovering new knowledge itself won't help, right? We have to take that to the market. That is done by innovators and entrepreneurs. Did I answer your question?
Yes, a lot actually. It's a good inspirational answer for us, all of us. I would like to move into Charini again. So, as you said in your story that you started back in 2009 and now you built up as a benchmarking brand for most of us. So, what is the system or what are the steps to scale up a product idea or a business idea? Because most of these students might be having nice ideas. Even in their final year collections, they come up with own brands, interesting collections, which are having that industry-ready qualities also, but they are struggling to continue. So, how they can scale up their businesses or business ideas?
Okay. So I have to first of all say, when you say a benchmark brand, I also have my own benchmark. I have different brands that I look up to, and I want to be as a entrepreneur or as a brand where we look up to certain brands as benchmarks. So again, the benchmark of a company, or when you're an entrepreneur, how you look at a benchmark is also something that moves. So let's say when you start up at your, where you all are at your level, I actually like the thought of having certain, you can look at certain role models, you can look at certain brands as inspiration, because I think you need a guidance when you start up. It actually helps because, especially when you're designers, you know how your brain works. So you can get a bit carried away here and there. You can lose focus a bit here and there. So I've been there, done that, all of it. So I would say first, since you all have graduated or about to graduate or will graduate in a year or so, just have, say, you don't have to know exactly what you want to do with your, with a brand or with yourself, but just have some people that you have lined up as inspiration. It doesn't have to be always designers or brands. It can be certain people who have inspired you or you can relate to. All depends on what your personal ethos, what is better for you. But I totally agree with Heminder. I always tell, just work with somebody for a bit longer so that you know where you want to be, and also whether entrepreneurship is for you or not. I mean, it is a famous question I ask when we interview people, especially. When I ask at the first interview, what do you want to be in, do another 5 years or 2 years? They'll definitely say, I want to be a designer, I want to have my own brand. So let's say I take them in, I work with them for 6 months. No, not even, it doesn't say take 6 months, 3 months. What do you want to do? I don't want to have a brand on my own. So I was really, I liked what Heminder told. You just have to kind of slowly map up your journey, have a long-term plan. I believe in long-term goals and little short-term goals. So anyway, sorry, I diverted a bit. We'll come back to the question. So to give the answer to what we were discussing about, say, when you do these beautiful creations, most of the time so the university's collections, sometimes, as I can see even at the back, I don't know whether it's from the selection or not, either way, say you can be a person who wants to show a concept, or you can be on the other extreme of the parameter where you are a person who wants to always look at something ready to wear. You look at the market and see what is sellable. So either way, let's say you are a person who's great with your conceptual thinking. It's always good to see how you can make it into a money-making thing. Yes, you can sell concepts too, but Sri Lanka is not probably the market for it. I've seen how much people struggle trying to do more couture brands here in Sri Lanka. So this is, at the moment, to be realistic, not the greatest market. I have that challenge all the time. I love to do something creative, do a couture product, but then end of the day, you need to run a business. You need to sell your product. You need to sell your concept also. So I personally, just to give my experience, we try to see how we can balance that, where we try and give the concepts. When you look at our brand, we don't want to be like a high street brand. So we are very clear on that. So we've always wanted to maintain a bit of a luxury niche, a designer wear kind of an aesthetic with the product. But then the reality is that we need to scale up. So through all the challenges I've had through the years, every day is a challenge, every month is a challenge. Those are nice things. It doesn't mean that it's like a really bad journey. It's lovely. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if I didn't enjoy. But when you go through this whole journey, you get to a point where you need to scale up. I mean, you can decide not to scale up, but in Sri Lanka, it's very hard to earn money and make the brand profitable unless you don't scale up. So we decided that, we have our atelier, we have a very private niche clientele, we take part in shows, we have a very good clientele. I'm very happy with what we've achieved so far in terms of where we've positioned our brand. But is it a big brand? No. Sri Lanka is a small country, so we are a very small brand. So how do I scale up in this small economy? I needed to see how we can move into ready-to-wear without compromising on our brand values, aesthetics, or philosophy. So the best way we came up with was to not dilute the entire brand. I'm very clear that we are not going to dilute our brand. So we separated Charini Atelier, which is doing the more high-end designer wear brands, from a new brand that we launch, Charini Stories. It doesn't mean that it's under the other brand. It means that it's more scalable, where we can reach to more clients and make it a more profitable, larger scale business. So even with you guys, what you can see is whether you all belong to that end where you're all more into couture, kind of more, the products that you do to express certain concepts. You need to see how you can make it into a more sellable concept. At some point it might happen, especially if you're based in this country. And if you're more into ready-to-wear, that's a very fine point where you can really dilute the brand if you try to scale it up. So if you start with ready-to-wear, you have to be very careful that you don't dilute the brand where you just become a person who just follows fast fashion, where you become like any other brand or any other company. So couture to ready-to-wear is one part. Ready-to-wear and larger, it depends on whether you want to only make money or you want to maintain a brand as well. So that is how I would say they would. I hope I answered the question.
What I understood was that you address in different market segments,
yes,
to balance the financial side.
Yes.
It's a message that we have to get. If you really want that, sometimes you want to be a couture designer, but it is not easy to do it overnight.
In Sri Lanka, especially.
Specifically in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, people won't pay money for couture design. It's like we're talking about thousands of dollars for one outfit. Then that's not going to happen. No.
With that remarks, I would like to move into Binu. Even Kalatri said when she's starting up her business, she got lots of support and advices from different people. including Beanu also, how those collaborations works, specifically if you get the quantities of the designers who are graduating from design schools. Let's say UK it is thousands per year, but for us I think it is less than 200. So having internal competition might kills us as a country. So how those collaborations, supporting systems can work?
So when we started the Design Collective, we wanted to position ourselves as a collaborative space. We used to actually have a table right at the back of the store where we encouraged the designers to come and spend some time at the store itself, meet customers, but at the same time to kind of meet other designers. We failed miserably, to be very honest. I don't know if it's something to do with Sri Lanka or others that I can't comment on, but 8 years ago when we started this, we had the table, we even told them the coffee was right next door, don't worry, come, we'll this thing, but we failed. Over the last 7 years, I've been trying to make this work. I believe that the collaborations that we have done, even though it's small, is what has really been lucrative for a lot of brands. So we break down collaborations now in a little bit of a different way. We don't leave it up to the designers to do it. We now kind of get involved in the middle and we facilitate the collaborations. So my team, we do a few collaborative measures. One is we introduce brands who are in, let's say, the apparel side with the jewelry side. We also encourage brands to have, so that way they basically apparel and jewelry, they basically do a collaborative collection or they will do collaborative events. Then we also have collaborations with where, let's say, Shahili and I will get involved in understanding the retail perspective and putting that into certain brands and telling them they might not be retailing full-time with us, but we say collaborate with us and create a collection. So that way we're encouraging, like through example, we're trying to encourage more collaborations. So the same way we have been doing these small collaborations throughout the last, I would say, we started 8 years ago, but I would say in the last 6 years is when we have really flourished in the collaborations that we do. So one of the notable collaborations that we did is where we took Buddhi Batiks with a brand in India called Button Masala. So Button Masala, so Buddhi Batiks did their batik fabrics and we sent it to India where they put their Button Masala concept onto it and they retailed in India as well as in Sri Lanka. How do we benefit from this, right? One, you've taken a brand to an international arena through another brand's retail space. At the same time, an Indian brand has come to Sri Lanka, collaborated with a Sri Lankan brand and retailing in Sri Lanka as well. The exposure that you get is, I don't think we can make a number on that. The same way, we have kind of be open-minded about it. And collaborations can take you a long way.
I think it's a very important thing for us, specifically for the students. We have textile designers, we have fashion designers. How you can work collaboratively, even in your graduation collections also, to bring out something very special. Now, I'm moving to a different topic. It's about entrepreneurship, but when we talk about Color3, that even the company also told that your brand is all about sustainability. So when you start with, when you start your brand also itself, it has those sustainability related roots. Something bit interesting for me as well with what I do in my day-to-day life. My question is it really possible to incorporate sustainability initiatives into a fashion brand in the very starting point? Is it practical?
Human beings. So I do upside yes. Sometimes when you're working with waste material, we have to actually come out of the bubble and think again, because some things that we do with good intentions to be sustainable can be impact negatively. So maybe just let those materials to be would be more sustainable. Maybe doing nothing would be more sustainable, because we are again putting energy, time, and resources to the things. And also, I think that sustainability is not a not a trend or a market opportunity or a mere value addition that we can paste on top of our products. So, so to find whether it is practical to the question, so to find the balancing point in this, what I do is I manage waste, my own waste, and being conscious of the waste I produce, not only in terms of material, but the time of the people I work with, the energy I'm using, the other thing is that I do not consider sustainability as a set of rules or a law that we should follow, but more like a practice that we can keep on trying in our scale. And for me, it's more about sustainability is more about, for my practice, it is more about emotional durability of the garments. What I'm trying to do in terms of sustainability is trying to create a garment that we don't feel like to throw away quickly. So it can be just the comfortability or the simplicity of the garment, because we can pair it with a lot of other things. And maybe the material, how you feel in that material, fit and construction, simple things like that. I think sustainability has more large scale and high-tech approaches in the world now. And when big things are happening in the world, as small designers, what we can do is small behavioral changes, attitude changes, emotional values we can create. I think that part matters.
Emotional attachment and how much you should be conscious of when you are doing design, other than just tapping into the trend. Because many people are talking about sustainability, and it's good marketing tool as well. But the message that we wanted to give you is, when you develop in a brand, it's good that you incorporate sustainability, but it should not have that greenwashing effect. It should be realistic. With that remark, I would like to come to the last question of today's discussion with Heminder. So, today's world with Gen Z and our upcoming generations, they are more attached to the technology and technologically advanced equipments. They are more into Instagram and other social media platforms and all. So how they can get that support to elevate their businesses through social media and technology related tools? Can you give us an opinion?
I think now a lot of people now talks a lot about AI. So AI will take my job, AI will take that person's job. So what you have to understand is technology as a whole will not take your job. But what happened is the people who use technology better will take your job. So that's what happened, right? It's not the technology, it's not AI will not take your job. But the person who use AI might take your job. So that's the whole idea. So you have to be very tech savvy, and you have to start using all the tools that you have effectively, and you have to learn that. So that's the challenge. But having said that, you mentioned Gen Z, and I don't know what's your age category. You must be Gen Z yet. Very soon it will be Gen Alpha. These categories have much more, connection to, you are more tech savvy. Rather than the older generation, you can get into technology really fast. So I think that's the advantage. Maybe it's something to do with genetics or whatever. So I think use the technology. So that's the advantage. So whatever you call it, Instagram or whatever, I think you need to use that. There's no other way. So if you don't know, you have to learn it. You learn AI tools, whatever, you have to learn it. Otherwise, there's no way out. And having said that, all this technology is actually democratizing everything, right? So for example, sometimes back marketing your product, you can only use paper advertisement or TV. Those are like kind of ATL, very, very costly. But today, to market your product, you don't have to spend a lot of money. Still, it's costly, but it's not as much as what it was a few years back or decades back. So I think it's a good thing. So you need to have that, but it's not about just technology. It's not about AI or whatever you call it, but long term, what you have to understand is it's about, I think she also mentioned about the sustainability, all that. Sustainability is not about making everything sustainable. Sustainability is about using natural resources less. How you can create more rupees out of less resources. That's the real terminology of sustainability. So you have to understand the real meaning of everything. So innovation is also not about doing new things. Innovation is about doing new things and taking that to the market, right? You should be able to see people using your product, right? So that's the innovation. If you don't do that, you are not an innovator. Just because you have 100 patents under your belt, nobody is using your product, you are not an innovator. You may be an inventor, but not an innovator. So what you have to understand is this technology, these platforms, all these they are to that innovation part. Maybe you have something new in your mind, something you have developed, but all these platforms help you to take your product to the market much faster. So use all these technologies. And if you don't learn it, if you forget about that part, your part will be done by somebody else who use those technologies better than you.
Okay, I would like to open the discussion to the audience. Do you have any questions to ask? We have a few more minutes. We can open the floor for you.
Ask any silly question.
There's no wrong or bad questions. You can ask anything. Okay, without wasting the time, I would like to give one opportunity for one of you. What is your message to these young kids? I know that they have lots of deeper interest in developing their own brands. Plus, they have high creativity as well. So, what is your message to them? If anyone in this forum is thinking inside about developing something, to be like Charini or to be like Binu or Kalatri or Heminder like person, what is your message? In few words. Thank you.
Yeah, very few words. So one of the startups that I'm helping right now is, I know it's again connected to the design to a certain extent. We are creating a natural color lipstick. So it's very difficult to get the above the limit. So if you apply above the limit, so if you apply lipstick every day, you have to be careful, right? So my message, if you want to do something new, if you want to innovate, so you have to understand what are the problems, right? You have to start from the problem, but then to learn that, you need to speak to a lot of people, right? So you have to start speaking to a lot of people. So how this happened was basically I had a chat with the designer, right? Actually one of the designers, and she mentioned the same thing that I mentioned. Every lipstick has lid, and then she showed 2 or 3 brands that doesn't have lipstick. Rest of all the brands, whatever you talk about, that has lid. Then why lead is to attach the color, you need lead. That's the science behind it, right? So anything that is very deep red color, you have lead, right? Otherwise, it's very difficult to do. So then we analyzed what are the colors that you can create without lead. Yes, a lot of colors you can do, but red is very difficult because you have to dissolve in oil. So then, it's a one step after the other. You have to do it. Now we are very close to that, I can even tell that we actually found something out of chili. Chili, the red color, dissolved in oil. So this is patentable, right, what I'm talking about, right? But then, chilies you can't apply, right? So now the next innovation is how to remove the, yes, the part that really, give that chili taste. So that's, it's doable. So this is how we have to think about. So, but it didn't happen because I had that idea. We were discussing this idea with a lot of people. So I think the starting point, if you want to be an innovator, if you want to be a world-class innovator, I mean, this is a very small thing, right? Creating a lipstick that is natural, all that, but then it can go to billions of people. We have 4 billion females. I mean, I apply lipstick these days. I'm a lab rabbit these days, right? So what need to happen is that different types of people has to get connected. So if you want to innovate, don't think about this classroom only. You go and meet people, engineers from your other faculties, meet architecture faculty. Now there's a medical college at Moratuwa. Go and meet the doctors. So create that very diverse set of people talking about ideas. So that's what universities is all about. There is no other place than being in those 3 to 4 years' time doing those things. When you move out, you don't have that facility. So you are in the golden time, golden 2 or 3 years where you can innovate. If you don't innovate now, or these 2, 3 years, you will never innovate. Thank you.
Yes, it means that you should have proper problem-solving skills and collaborations. Then you can be a good entrepreneur. Thank you very much again for joining with us with this fruitful discussion. Charini, Binu, Kalatri and Heminda, I think you gave us good insight and inspirational thoughts for all the students as well as other audience here. I took some takeaways. I think it's good for you as well. Charani and Binu said that they were never give up actually, and they took the risk without thinking in that traditional box thinking, went out of the box thinking, give up the traditional job perspective and took certain risk and start their own businesses. So it's very interesting for me. And then again, Kalatri was open to learning. That was one of her secrets for having this kind of successful story. And Heminda came up with interesting facts like, if you really want to be an entrepreneur, you need to show your character. Otherwise, it's a bit difficult to make your own USP. As well as you have to discover new knowledge. Otherwise, even the university or graduates or entrepreneurs or whoever, it is very difficult to retain in this world. You will be a typical person. And again, AI, one of the key facts of our students as well as most of the society these days, AI will never replace you. What will replace your job is the people who will do better than you. So it's a very important point for all of us. Lastly, the last message is, if you are using lipsticks, you have to be careful. It will kill you soon. Thank you very much. Over to you, Kampi.
Thank you very much, Dr. Prabodh, for guiding us through this entire conversation and also giving us all of the takeaways. Very important indeed. To show our gratitude, and of course, we are immensely grateful for your time today, we have prepared a small token of appreciation that we would like to present to all of our panelists. To give you a bit of context, actually, this token of appreciation features the raw creativity and talent of our very own students, to be specific, the semester 1 students. It features compound weaving techniques that have come together as a mini woven tapestry, and I hope that you would like this little gift that we're pleased to present to you. And to present this token of appreciation, I would like to invite Professor Virajini Karunaratne and Professor Gayatri Ranatunga on stage. Thank you, madams. To hand over a small token of appreciation to our moderator as well, Dr. Prabodh Munasinghe. Madam, if you'd like to hand it over. Yes. So once again, thank you very much for all the insights, the stories, and the tips, which I'm sure have inspired a lot of us here today to really think out of the box and step out of our comfort zones. With that, thank you very much for your participation and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.